Hi, this is Chris, Video Game Dust Leaves, and you're listening to the VGDS podcast with my co-host, Linda, aka the Gamer Girl,
Hello, Internet.
and my guest gamers, Bonesy06,
Hello, hello.
Dan Dragon,
Hi, everyone.
and DizzyTheGamerJit.
Hey, how's it going?
As usual, sleeve it or leave it. The first game is Crystal's Ponytail for Sega Genesis. Bones, would you sleeve it or leave it?
Funny how you came to me first. I think you already know what my answer is going to be. Hell to the no.
Darn. You'll sleeve Barbie, but you won't sleeve Pony?
Oh,
That is correct.
Damn it.
He
Dan?
has a special place in his heart.
Yes, that is true.
Dan?
I was not even aware this game existed, so I definitely would not sleeve it at all.
0 for 2. Dizzy?
I would sleeve it and gift it to my daughter Melody's playroom.
Hey.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good way.
Linda?
Maybe if I was on something, I would sleeve it, but it's a no.
Darn. I only tricked one person into sleeving that one.
Yeah, but he's got a very
Not
good
for me
reason.
though. It's not for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
You still said yes.
Yeah.
Okay, the next title is Clay Fighter for Sega as well. Dan, sleeve it, leave it.
How's this version? I don't even know, but I probably would sleeve this game.
Good
Dizzy?
answer.
I would sleeve that one. Yeah, I love the 64 version. I would sleeve it.
Linda?
Sleeve it. I like clay fighters. I like fighters.
Bones?
Okay, I sleeved the 64 version. I would not sleeve that
Nice.
version.
I kind of like the box art in this version compared to the 64. I don't know, something about the snowman. Okay. The next title is Castlevania Bloodlines. Dan, sleeve or leave it.
Oh yeah, this is definitely a sleever. This is a good version of Castlevania.
Hey Dan, did I ask you about Clay Fighter?
Did you? I don't even remember.
Well, anyway, would
No,
you
yeah, I
sleeve
did,
that?
yeah, I did. I said I didn't know that version at all.
Oh yeah, that's right, I did. Okay. See, I get confused sometimes. But anyway, Bones, sleeve or leave it.
Well, I would have you make me a custom sleeve for it, but I already have it sleeved in your logo sleeve, so yes, I would sleeve it.
Well, that works too. Logo sleeves. Dizzy, sleeve or leave it.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, definitely. No doubt. Love the
Linda?
artwork on the front.
I
Linda?
had it sleeved, so that's a yes.
You got this one sleeved.
Yes.
Totally forgot about that. And the last one is Captain America and the Avengers for Sega. Bones, sleeve it or leave it.
I think I actually would sleeve that one. I'm looking at the box art, and there's just something about it. I think I'd get that sleeved if I had it loose.
Does look pretty badass, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Dan, sleeve it or leave it.
I would definitely sleeve this. This is a game I don't have, and I would love to add it to my collection. I have the SNES version, but I've always wanted the Genesis version.
Dizzy?
I'd say if it was Captain Australia, maybe no, but it's Captain America. Hell yeah, definitely.
Linda?
I would get it sleeve if I had the game.
Okay. And on to this next segment. Guess that box art. The first one, we'll start with Bones.
Is this some kind of generic Zelda?
No.
Can we
like-
get the console, please?
Yes. Game Boy.
Can I buy a Valve?
Yeah.
No.
You.
Oh man, and it's Game Boy Utopia.
No.
I don't know.
Dan, you want to give it a shot?
Oh man, this looks familiar. I feel like I was looking at this the other day, but I don't know what it is.
You might have.
Oh man. No, I don't have an answer at the moment.
Okay, Dizzy, any guesses?
It kind of looks like NES Bubble Bobble, but Game Boy, I'm not really sure. I'd say Bubble Bobble Game Boy, maybe.
You got it.
Really?
Nice.
Wow,
Nice.
nice.
I didn't even know they had that on Game Boy. It looks like the NES characters somewhat.
Yeah, I mean they're basically the same characters. They just put it on.
Yeah,
they
they
ported
are.
it. They ported it to. Game Boy.
Wow.
So yeah,
Man.
that was it. You got it.
Great call.
Oh, sorry, Linda. I wanted you to guess too.
Oh, it's all good. Hey,
That's
I
part of the
rather
game.
we because dude, I like when we get it right. I don't care who gets it right.
Nice. Got that one. I don't know about the next one.
Yeah,
That
the
was gonna
next
be
one
hard.
should be a little easier compared to
What?
the last one.
It's a system.
This system is I don't know which one I put it on. Hold on, let me find out for you. The system
Oh
is
snap!
it's Super NES. Okay, there you go. Super NES. We'll go with Bones. You got a guess?
I was gonna say Dr. Mario, but that ain't it.
No. Dan?
I don't know. Trolls.
No. Dizzy, guess?
Is there a Dragon's Lair on Super Nintendo?
I don't think so.
I don't think
That
so.
would have been my guess.
Linda?
Oh shoot! That dude just looks so funny. Let's just get that out of the way.
It does.
He's
Ridiculous.
trying to pick his nose.
Ah. Izzy
Booger
Bones.
Man.
Ha you got it.
Which one?
Booger Man.
What?
Ah!
Oh my!
A pick and flick adventure.
Yeah.
Already hard.
See, I couldn't tell if he was picking his nose or telling the secret.
As soon as I had to give the hint, like as soon as Bones said he looks like he's just about to pick his nose, I was like, all right, let me drop the hint.
That's a game I still want to get in my collection, so I don't know that box
I
that
actually
well.
have that for Sega Genesis complete, but I don't have it.
Really?
Yeah, I love that game. That game is awesome. You guys, if you ever want to play a game that is hilarious, that's the game to play. It is so funny. Has anybody played it besides me?
No.
I did.
No,
when
no,
I
I gotta find it I gotta find it on my RetroPie.
Yeah,
I'm gonna see if I
definitely
can play
find
it.
it. Play it. It is funny as hell.
I'll put that on my wish list.
was-
Dan, you don't have
so
it either?
Booger Man? No.
Wow. That's a good
By the
platformer.
end of this podcast, you will.
Oh yeah. By the time I get done, you know what? Screw this. I'm gonna do it right now while we're talking. I
Yeah,
hear,
okay,
I hear him clicking already.
I'll update you by the end of the podcast. I bought it.
Oh man,
That's my game of
you
the
would
month.
too. Yeah. Hold on. Do I have to
Dan,
put
we
a,
all read it.
I have to put another segment in here? When did I buy it? Just 5 minutes ago. All right, next segment, Logos League of the Month. This month goes to Relic Gamer. I don't know if many of you know who he is, but he does do YouTube. He's also really big into Atari. So if you would like his sleeve, please reach out to me, and as always, proceeds will go to him. And the next segment is Dan's segment, Franchise of the Month. Take it away, Dan.
Let's get back to basics for this one, and I picked out a series that has several installments, and this might be a good segue into this topic of do games have games aged well over time. But it's Metroid, the original starting on the NES and made its way onto newer consoles. So yeah, nothing spectacular about this, nothing specific about this franchise. I'm just curious about everybody's thoughts. Have they played this series, and which is your favorite installment?
I'll
And-
start.
Yep.
I've played very little Metroid on the NES. The most of my Metroid playing is on the Wii, Other M. That is a really good game. They use the motion controls really well. It's not overkill. It's a little confusing at some parts, but once you get past that, you're pretty good to go with it. But that is really the only in-depth Metroid I ever did. I never like really touched too much of the NES version because I don't even own that. I actually played that at a friend's house. He owned the game. So that's pretty much my knowledge of Metroid. I don't really. It's not that I didn't want to play it. I just never really had a chance to play it. Like especially now as an adult, I would probably want to play it more than I would understand it more now than I would as a kid. So that's pretty much my take on Metroid. Bones, go ahead.
Well, I'm in a similar boat. I was more of a Mega Man guy, so I enjoyed those more than Metroid. So I have other Metroid games. I have GameCube ones, Wii ones. It's just never really got into them, so I never really played too many of those. So I don't really have too much insight on whether or not, they're great games because I just didn't put that kind of time and effort into them. But I could definitely go and probably play some of the newer ones. I don't know if I'd want to go back and play the older ones because I just didn't get into them then. Maybe one of the newer ones would entice me more, and then maybe I'd go back. But yeah, I don't really have too much insight when it comes to Metroid. It wasn't really my thing.
Hey, Bones, did you play Other M?
No.
No, you haven't played it. I was.
No, I haven't played that. I haven't played Prime. And I have them. I haven't played them.
Right, I was just curious. All right, Dizzy.
I don't have too much experience myself. Again, like Bones was saying, I'm more of a Mega Man person myself. I did play the first one, and I say the most amazing thing, the thing that most everybody remembers, is finding out at the end that Samus is a female. And I still to this day with my daughter, I have her playing this from from time and time again, and I always make it a point to remind her that Samus is a female. That way she has some kind of connection to another female in the gaming world. There's Mario, there's a bunch of guys out there, male characters, Link, but Samus was a female and a badass female too. So that's the one thing I do remember about this game, just how Samus was a female, and that is something that other female gamers can attach themselves to, is that Metroid game.
Okay, Linda.
Okay, so I'm just like everybody else. I
Wow.
didn't understand the story very much, and I think that's another thing is what trips people up with this kind of genre. Just like Legend of Zelda. I didn't understand that they reincarnated over and over again, and it wasn't just the same Link and Zelda. They were, just going through the same story motions again and again and again. Once I realized that it was they keep reincarnating the story, or they keep having the new princess be Zelda, it made sense to me, and then I started playing more games. Because I think with Metroid, I don't understand the story. I would have to actually, read a book about it, or a review about it, and then get the story, because I played Metroid when I was younger. Played the NES version. Got lost. Put it down and just walked away. And I never picked up another Metroid game. I don't have any Metroid games in my collection because of that reason. Because same thing with Zelda. I was just like, well, I don't get it. I don't understand it. And then once a buddy of mine, T-Belly, was like, you need to play a Zelda game. And got me Breath of the Wild. I was like, okay, I'll try it. And then I played it. Really understood the game, the story, because they explained it very well. The newer game. I was like, oh, reincarnate. Oh, okay, so it's the same guy who just keeps coming back, and there's a new Link and a new Zelda. Got it. So if I did that with Metroid, probably would understand it, and then I'd go and play it more. Because it's just so open world. It's so, you can get lost in the map. It's just, I was like, you have to pay attention a lot, and I have a hard time paying attention. It took me forever to figure out Resident Evil. That was me playing it again and again and again, and watching other people play it and then figuring it out. I don't see many people's only when I see stream Metroid, a few people in the community. Not very many people stream Metroid anymore. So I don't get much story. So sorry.
Yeah, that's like the same. Pretty much all of us in here. But Dan, you might have a different opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I picked this franchise. Obviously, I'm a big fan of this series. I have a lot of memories. I mean, Metroid. If you see on the box, it was this password pack. You know, it's before battery backup. You had to enter all these long passwords to save your save your spot in the game. Um, it was this game and Kid Icarus that were like kind of like the second release wave of NES titles after the initial launch titles, and from Nintendo. And so that was a big deal when they went to the silver box instead of the black box. And yeah, this and Kid Icarus started. They were like, oh, these are more complex games now because you can save your progress via password. So I remember my buddy and I were like, all right, you know, I'm gonna get Kid Icarus and you get Metroid, and then so I got Kid Icarus and he got Metroid, so and we would trade and share. And I remember regretting that because I liked Metroid a lot better than Kid Icarus. So yeah, so from that standpoint, I have a lot of memories of playing through this game. Like Dizzy said, when they revealed that Samus was a female, that was like a big shocker for some reason.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then like today, that's such a simple concept, and like we have so many female, lead characters in video games. But back then, that was such a big deal. Like, wow, I can't believe I can't believe they actually made her a woman. So that from that point, I feel like that's like a landmark achievement in gaming back then. Super Metroid seems to be everybody's favorite for the series because it was bigger and better graphics, but I felt like that was a little bit on the easier side. Like I felt like the original Metroid is more challenging, and I'm not the biggest first-person shooter 3D gamer, and so when Metroid Prime on the GameCube went into the 3D space, I was very skeptical, but it got such rave reviews. And people said it's like one of the best games of all time. So I went back and played it, and it was really, it made a believer out of somebody who doesn't like those type of games. So a first person type of game. It did translated the Metroid universe very well into 3D space. So that for that game, Metroid Prime is definitely worth a playthrough. And I think Metroid Prime 4 is coming out for the Switch in the future. So yeah, this franchise is definitely gonna live on.
Okay, on to the actual podcast topic, which is games aging over time. What's your take? Do they age well? Do they not age well? It's kind of a broad statement. So we can either choose a console and kind of go that route, or we can choose games. However you guys feel, you let me know. So do any of you guys have anything that you guys want to talk about as far as what games age well or don't age well? Anybody?
Well, like you said, that is a broad question.
Right. It's broad.
Well, I can start off and narrow it down to like genre. Like racing games don't age well on the system because of the graphics and the TVs and upgrades and stuff like that. So we can start off with genres and then make it like brighter and broader and everything like that. But as far as like certain systems that don't age well, depends on the game genre. Like certain Atari games, you can still play them to this day, and they're okay. Like you understand the game, you know the concept looks great on any TV you can play, like Pitfall or something like Space Invaders on NES. It's the graphics flow well, they move well, they don't have too much of a lag on certain styles because literally just push one button and it triggers the animation to do what it needs to do. But certain games that the pixels have to catch up, it's when you really see that it ages poorly. Like Underground. I tried playing it a while back on a newer TV because I was like, oh, I really want to play Underground. I want to play me some racing games. I got a headache 5 minutes into playing that game because the TV. Yeah, Need for Speed, Underground. I was trying to play that and I couldn't. Just the pixels were not catching up fast enough. Game was skipping. It was having a hard time, and that game didn't age well. So a lot of racing games I'm trying to play now even on like the
Are you
PS1
just
Mini.
talking like hardware equipment is because of the hardware you're using, or?
So I was just gonna say like PS1 Mini. They upgraded and upscaled like scaled the things to like match the HDMI and all that stuff. Even then, some of the racing games are still hard to play. I guess just programming, how they programmed it, is another thing to think about. Like the programmer is like really lazy with like stuff. You can see it right away. So racing games, I think, were one of them. It's just one of those things where if it's a game where it's not that hard to like maneuver the camera and everything like that, that's another thing. Oi, cameras. So if it's one of those like genre based, I think we could maybe think about that and then go from there.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'd say a lot of that the game aging badly can be related to the television set you're using, because a lot of those games were made for CRT, and the CRT would basically like kind of round out and smooth out a lot of the edges,
Right,
and
but
you're not gonna get that with a flat screen nowadays.
most retro gamers, our generation, will have the CRT TVs. Usually.
Oh yeah, I got one.
Usually. Because your zapper doesn't work otherwise.
Exactly, that's the reason I got
Your
one.
light guns won't work unless you have a CRT.
Yeah, so like a 60-inch plasma, that's gonna stretch out the image.
Right.
You're on widescreen when before it was, you're using it as a square. So a lot of that is gonna add to the game's aging badly. A lot of it, I think, has to do with the TV set.
What about gameplay?
See, to me, I'm on the other side. Like people say, games aging badly, and I don't believe it. I say if the game was good back then, it was good. If it was bad back then, it was bad. Like a lot of
Yeah,
people.
but all right. So there's another opinion of this. A game that you think was bad back then could also be good now because back then you didn't know how to play it, but now you do.
Actually see it the opposite way. I think the games were good back then, and a lot of people are saying they're bad just because they've gotten rusty over time. You know, I'm not as good a gamer as I was when I was younger. A lot of these games, if I pick them up now, I can't get into them like I would back then. I'll use Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles NES as an example. As a kid, I loved the game. I would play it all the time. Of course, I didn't get far. As a kid, I wouldn't get far, but I still love the game all the time. Nowadays, I might try to put it in. I'm not gonna have the same fun as I had back then. So
Well,
I think
could that be because of your patience level maybe? Like you don't have the
I think it's
patience.
just I just think a lot of it's due to game rust. Picking up the game. Back then we'd play these games every single night, every weekend, all the time. Now I'm playing them, every chance I get. So I'm not gonna be as good as if I were playing the game every single night. So I'd say a lot of that has to do with game rust. Games. I don't know. I'd say
Well, you don't have save points either, so that's
yeah, a lot of that too. The but I see it as if the game was bad back then, it's still a bad game. You know, but I may be wrong. I want to hear other people's opinions because
well. I kind of
I'm
gave
I,
you mine
it,
already. Mine is if just because a game might be bad to you back in the day doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be bad to you as an adult. Like if you don't give that game a chance again, how do you know like something didn't change that you didn't realize when you were a kid? Didn't like change for you as an adult. Like take the Turtles game, like you were talking about. Back then, you were younger. You didn't really know. I don't know how to get to certain points in the game, but now that you're older, you can figure things out because, like, okay, you're older now. Things are gonna change. Obviously, your thinking's changed. Your process has changed. So it might be a little easier to figure out where to go from point A to point B. So that's
that's
my
true.
like logic behind it. Like you got to give the game another try. Just because you think it's a crap game back in the day when you were young, because you couldn't get any farther, you got stuck at this one part and you just went to that same one part over and over and over and always died. Well,
Well, I'll use for example like let's say Resident Evil PlayStation 1. People say those games age badly because you look at it now, the graphics are all choppy, it's all blocky, there's the tank controls. But when the game came out, everybody loved it. They raved about it. There was nothing wrong with it. So would people say that game aged badly because nowadays the graphics aren't up to par? Where at that time, that's the best the graphics were gonna get. That's the best PlayStation could do at the
Well, then
time.
you also kind of have to look at it by the years that you were in. You know what I mean? The hardware different, everything's different. So you kind of have to do it by what year it was, how it was played then, what the graphic level was back then. You can't compare it to today's game, and that's where some people are wrong. You can't compare Resident Evil to Resident Evil. Like what are they on now? 7 or 8 or something? Like you can't.
Yeah, that's
Around
the same
8
way
right
I
now.
feel. That's the
You
same
can't
way I
compare
feel.
them. You gotta. It's its own entity, really. Because like in that era, that was the best they had.
Yeah, the best
They
they
couldn't
could do at
get
the
any
time.
better. So in today's era, obviously, Resident Evil 1, and you said 8, right, Linda?
They're on 8 right now.
Right.
On 8.
So those two games are obviously going to be completely damn different. And if they aren't, there's something wrong.
Yeah, right.
They need to be different.
I mean,
Well, I
what
will say-
I hear all the time is about the PlayStation 1 games, how they're all triangles and stuff like that.
Well, like that,
But like
that
you were
can,
saying, that's the best they could do at the
right.
time.
You can say Tomb Raider's the same way. Tomb Raider.
Yeah,
triangle,
exactly. Another good example.
Triangle. But now, look at it now. It's like 130% better.
Yeah, it progressively got better with
And it
each new
should.
console.
That's the point.
Oh, definitely.
It should
yeah.
go from like that to what we have now, because like if it didn't do that and there was no progression, what there was no point of doing like, all right, let's have PlayStation 5 and still have the same PlayStation 1 game.
Yeah, I've heard people say Atari 2600 aged badly. It's like that's the best they could do. That, if anything, that was groundbreaking, those graphics at the time. So there's no way I could say that
All right,
those
so
games aged badly.
they age badly on one way and one way only. Like, because if you pick that game up today and you try playing it, you're not going to want to play it.
Well, and also you got to remember that you had a manual with it. So if you don't understand the story, you're gonna see a big old blob of pixels and color that you don't understand what that's supposed to be. Because that's one thing that I will say, they do age badly in the factor that if you don't understand the story, you don't understand what you're doing. You're just gonna see some lines, some blocks, and some stuff, and what you think is supposed to be something that looks reminiscent of what is supposed to be. You're not gonna know what you're doing. You're not gonna know what's going on, and you're just gonna go, "Huh."
Yeah.
Done.
Dan would probably be the better person to talk to, whether it aged badly or,
Not every game aged badly, like I said before. It just depends on the game itself. A lot of the games, like for example, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that aged badly because it was a horrible game in the beginning, and it got worse with over time with every new system coming out, changing the sound of that chainsaw got worse as it got older. Because it was like, eh, and then it went, ah, and so it's like louder and more obnoxious than before. Through emulation and clone consoles and everything in between, it's not a good sound now. It was way worse now.
Dan, what's up with your opinion?
Yeah, so I mean, I do agree. Like, good games back then would probably hold up over the test of time. Like Space Invaders is a very old game, and an old Atari version of it still holds up pretty well today. If you're a big fan of Space Invaders, you definitely, if you're nostalgic about games and if you have a lot of good memories about it, you tend to be more forgiving. So yeah, I mean, I'm very forgiving about a lot of old games, but I don't expect today's gamers to really pick it up and go, "Wow, this is so great! This is such a great game," compared to what they have today. I mean, technology has advanced a lot, so it is hard to look at some of these games and even take it seriously.
And that's what they have to realize. Like,
yeah,
back in the year that game came out, that was revolutionary.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of modern gamers won't get, because like they probably don't
Yeah.
have parents that have retro and play those games. So all the modern gamers out in the world, like, they're just not, they're oblivious to what it was, in the 70s.
Yeah. Yeah, like my nephew, who's a high schooler, he comes over to our house, and he just and he's a gamer, but he's only a PlayStation 4 gamer. He's into Fallout and only the Call of Duty, only the newest ones. And then I try to show him old games, and he doesn't have any patience for it at all. He doesn't even want to see these games. So yeah, so
That's
it's hard.
that's kind of sin too. Like, it's a shame that some of these newer generations don't even want to give. Especially, he has access to a library of games. Like, you would think he would be like, at least like try it,
Mhm.
give it a go. Like, I would just make him sit down and be like, listen, you're gonna play this game with me. That's what I would do to him. I'd be like, if you want to get to the PS4, well then you got to play this game.
Yep.
I kind
So
of do
would
that
you
with my
guys
son
say
right
in would you guys say in 2021 that we're able to actually have games age better? Like now, all these games are having updates where, maybe on release date the game wasn't that good, but after a few months of updates, it's graphically better. Cyberpunk 2077 comes to mind.
now. All right. Well, my opinion on that is, your naked eye can only see so much. So without like VR or something on you, the graphics are only going to go so high with your naked eye. Like, you're only going to see what your eye can see. It's not going to go beyond that unless you have some kind of attachment like VR. So I feel that it's, in today's modern gaming world, DLC is always going to be there. They're always going to send out patches. Like, they send out patches
Yeah.
day one when the game is on the line being bought. They're already sending out patches. So it's always going to be like that. They're always going to find either A, they put it out too quick, the game, or B, they just needed to make little tweaks here and there. And they're always going to be like, all right, you need your internet on to get you to play this game. Like, and that's kind of, it's kind of a down and an up. Like, the down is you need online to do anything. Some of these games you can't even play unless you have an internet connection.
Yeah.
Whereas when we grew up, there was no internet. Like, NES couldn't hook up to anything, so like, that's a little different. As today, where you kind of need the internet, you rely on the internet for them to send you those patches, so that way you can play the game properly. Does it hold up? Yeah, well, it's gonna hold up because they're gonna patch the hell out of every game that comes out.
Yeah.
There's no way it's not gonna hold up. But in 10 years from now, when they come out with the PS16, is it gonna hold up then? Who knows? Because who knows what they're gonna, how the gamer world's gonna shift. I really think that VR is gonna start taking over. They're gonna have you moving around more than what you are now. Like, you're not gonna really hold a controller anymore. That, they got you full body moving on a Kinect. So, or PS4 or VR for that matter. Like, you can turn your head, you can see everything, you can see behind, you can see above, you can see down. So I have a feeling like they're gonna add a few more things, and you're gonna be walking, maybe in place, because obviously you keep walking, you're gonna walk into a wall. but like, maybe you have like a little pad that you're on, and you're gonna start feeling maybe little punches. Like, you're gonna have to wear a vest, maybe. I don't know. Who knows what the future is gonna bring? But there's only so much more they can do with like the naked eye. Is what it comes down to. Because like, our eyes are only set to see so good. Like, you can only see so much graphic on your screen without something over like Oculus or PS4's VR. Okay, one of you guys. Who's next?
Well, I try not to really look at it in the whole aspect of, aging bad. You summed it up well. At the time when these things came out, this was top dog.
Yeah.
And we were all fortunate to live through these generations of games and experience lots of these games. And then when we got older, things that we weren't able to experience, we picked up. It doesn't surprise me that a younger generation would not have as much influence or care for these, because even when we were younger, when Super Nintendo was coming out, most people were pretty much done with the NES. They wanted the Super Nintendo. You want the next best hot thing on the market. So it's easy to understand why younger generations don't really follow it as much. There are some that do, but there's not near as many, and they won't pick them up. It's not what their friends are playing. It's just not graphically enhanced enough. It's just not their cup of tea is really what it comes down to. Games that sucked back then might not suck as much as an adult because you have patience and you might be able to figure them out. From my experience, most of them, though, that did suck then still suck now. But those are those are tough games. You know what I'm talking about? We're not talking. That's not talking about games that didn't age well. Like, think about PS1, Ballerina Toshin. That game to go back to, it was kind of difficult back then, but it was the newest best thing. I mean, it was cool. You played it. Now going back and playing it, jumping in the air and floating till you come back down, it's not really that enjoyable. It's not something I want to go back to. I would say, if anything, as far as not aging well, would probably be the fact of loading times and controls. That, to me, is what doesn't age well, because we're all accustomed now to the newer generations of speedier times. And technically, that's kind of gone out the window, too, because of all the updates and everything else you got to do. It's just ridiculous. But the loading times and stuff, like for PlayStation 1 and the controls for 64, I might as well have been using my feet to play. I probably would have did a better job. Now, you've got companies that come out with other things to make it easier. I got a brawler controller. Games that I more than likely wouldn't give a second chance or the time of day to, I will go back and play now because I have a controller that makes it more feasible for me to play.
Oh, you don't like the N64 controller, huh?
I absolutely hate it.
Not too many people like it.
We were talking about Resident Evil, Dizzy, you said.
Yeah,
Thing with Resident Evil, yes. I could go back and play the PS1 version. But yet again, we went through all these generations of consoles. They've redone that game. They've remastered it. They put it on GameCube. So really, when it comes down to it, why wouldn't you go for the GameCube version? It's also retro, but it's a better version of that game. So you'd be better off going to that one instead of picking the PlayStation 1. So there's so many remakes that are being done. It makes it a little more feasible as far as not aging well to play a game that was fun back then. It's been remastered, and now it's all fun all over again. Because I guarantee if you throw in the PlayStation 1 version, there's going to be a lot of frustration. There's going to be learning curves all over again, trying to do the tank controls. Yeah. It's going to be a very awkward moment. We're all accustomed, yes, to playing retro, but we're all accustomed to playing modern. We're basically the spoiled generation for gaming, if you think about it, because we've had all of them. Yeah. And I love the fact that, like I said, I don't try to judge it by it didn't age well. It was just, I bought an Atari 2600. Are all these games fun? Well, of course not. But I have a ton of NES games that stuck, and I'll never go back and play them again. There's no point in touching them. It's going to be like that for every console. But it was the best that they had at that time. It was the new experience. And we didn't all have tons of games. What you had, you played the hell out of.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Like, you had that game. It doesn't matter if Ghostbusters sucked. It's all you had. You played it.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters comes back again.
Batman Forever is your only Christmas present for your Super Nintendo. The game sucks. But that's all you had. You played the hell out of it. Would you go back to it now? Probably not. More than likely not. Okay, no, I wouldn't. But yeah, that's kind of my outlook on it. I mean, everybody's game taste is different too, so that will always fluctuate and change. Genres, like Linda was saying, for racing, yeah, racing games don't necessarily hold up all that well. Some sports games, most sports games, don't hold up all that well because they just made too many of the damn things. But those are certain aspects, though, that are going to fluctuate with each generation and each console.
Dan, anybody else? Linda, you guys have anything to say?
So would you guys say that ET 2600 aged bad? Because most people always hated that game. I don't,
so
but I'm saying most people did.
E.T., you need the instruction manual, man.
Yeah, I got it.
You do. Like, without it, you can't really play the game.
Yeah, and I have it loose, so it's never going to go into that Atari.
Right, and I have mine's
Oh,
loose.
you can look it up.
But yeah,
The
you can
manuals
look,
online.
Yeah, you can look them up online now, so that's a plus. That's what we have now. We have online capabilities to look up manuals and stuff, so it will work out. You can print it even if you wanted to print the copy of the manual. You can just print it out online. So
Yeah,
there's that
ET
option.
gets a lot of hate. I didn't think it was that bad back in the day, even.
But Dan, you have the manual.
Yeah, well, I had the loose cartridge, but I recently bought a complete in-box version because I wanted to go ahead and get a copy before it gets really hard to get one. And it is a really affordable game still, it's complete. So, yep.
We all know the reason why you got it. You want a 3D sleeve.
Oh,
That's do I have that on the list?
Yes,
I
it's
think
on the list.
Yeah.
Why did you think I knew that? Like right away. That's why.
Yeah. Now one thing about the place, I mean, we all mentioned PlayStation 1 and and how it's. I really feel that's when games started to change. Like we went from 2D to 3D, and one thing that always bothered me was like that's kind of when Sega Saturn and PlayStation 1 were fighting it out. And we all know PlayStation, that's really where Sony started with the PlayStation systems, and they took off and they really dominated the video games since. And that's kind of where Sega started dying off because Sony basically kicked their butt. But the thing is, a lot of that had to do with the 2D versus 3D gaming. Like PlayStation was really pushing 3D graphics, and Sega was still stuck in the 2D era, which a lot of people were like so enamored with 3D graphics, and it's funny Bones mentioned Battle Arena Toshinden because I remember that was one of the launch titles, and I was in college at the time, and one of my roommates got a PlayStation, and we were all like crowding around the TV, and everyone was so enthralled with Toshinden, and then I had a Sega Saturn, and it's still today one of my favorite systems. But I had really good 2D versions of like King of the Fighters and Street Fighter and Darkstalkers and all those 2D fighters.
That's that comparison again. You're going from 2D to 3D. Like that's a huge revolutionary jump in gaming.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like Sony kind of like pushed us into that era sooner than we were really ready for it. Like it helped kill off the Sega, the 2D era faster because we were all so eager to jump into 3D gaming.
It was awing though. Like you went from like 2D to 3D, and PlayStation just like kicked ass at that. Like,
yeah, but when you look back, the games are kind of clunky, and so you're like, wow.
Yeah, but it's still like at that time that was the best they can do with the 3D.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, and there were still great games that were in for the PlayStation 1 that look kind of suspicious now because you're like, really, we played that game, but yeah. So I mean, yeah, that's a big transition. Big by aging well, is you have to consider. Do you prefer 2D games or 3D? I mean, because 2D platformers still exist now and they're popular. So it never really went away.
Right.
So it's just a lot of it's preference.
It's just
what
a shame that
prefer.
Sega like bellied up when around that time. It sucked. And I'm in between. Like I love Sega, I love Nintendo. I don't have any bias. Like I was never like, oh, I'm really Nintendo or oh, I'm really Sega. I had both growing up, and I could never pick or choose. It was always I played both. So I was kind of pissed when they finally like was like, yeah, we're done because the competition was just too vast for them at the time. I wish I still to this day I wish they would come out with another Sega console.
Well, I feel once they went to discs, that I agree. It's definitely, I don't look at cartridges in that way nearly as much as I do disc-based consoles. It doesn't matter how crappy a cartridge game is, I can still throw it in, play it, get one hell of a chuckle out of it. I don't get near as much of a chuckle out of looking at squared off stuff. One prime example was I love Twisted Metal.
Oh, yes.
Twisted Metal is a great game, but put in Twisted Metal 1 and play it, and when you look at just the graphics
You look
in
at
general,
the load times.
it's like, wow. Like, I know I looked at this and I remember when it came out, it was a great game, and I still enjoy playing it. But visually, boy, man, like Dan said, it's almost like they weren't quite there yet. It's that in-between step. They almost were rushing it to be the next best thing. And yeah, at that time it was great, but graphically, when you go back to it, it's not a great looking game whatsoever. Even the second one's not that great graphically to look at, but they're still really fun to play.
Yeah, the controllers are tough on that Twisted Metal also. It's funny
Yeah.
how you guys mentioned PlayStation 1 and the 3D, because I feel like most games that they say are aged badly are PlayStation 1, mostly because of the polygons. And I feel like Chris was saying, that's the best we could do at the time. The polygons were necessary. That was the jump from 16-bit Super Nintendo to the next stage, which was compact disc, more 3D, needing that polygon to make the 3D. If we didn't have that polygon shape, we probably wouldn't have the 3D shape. We probably would have stayed, in 32-bit and never made it to the 3D of PlayStation 5 nowadays. We had to progressively get better with each new console. So a lot of people don't like the PlayStation 1 and the polygon, but I feel like it was definitely necessary, for us to get where we're at right now.
Oh yeah, even the 64 had a lot of polygon to it.
Yeah, 64 as well, yeah.
We also got to remember that a lot of the games are on 2 discs. It's not going to age well if you keep
Oh,
damaging
man.
disc 2 or disc 1 and you can't, play the other copies of whatever you're playing because you need disc 1 to load correctly and then disc 2 will read off of disc 1. So that's one thing I always think about, like games that had a side A, side B,
That's
it's
true.
like any cassette player, stuff like that. Eventually it's gonna give out, eventually it's gonna stop working, and things like that. So space wise and cartridge space wise, everything's gonna fail eventually. And even though we do have ROMs and stuff like that, the ROM emulators don't always correctly work when you go from disc 1 to disc 2. It doesn't read your game correctly. No, it's gonna just boot up whatever save that person downloaded to the ROM. So you might be playing a certain way on your game, and then all of a sudden you load disc 2, and it's like, what? I don't remember doing that with my character with that. Then you're like, oh, I'm playing somebody else's game. Okay, I got you now. So it's like, everything we're saving right now is somebody else's save. So eventually, when all the cartridges are finito and no longer original, and we're all saving ROMs and reproductions and everything like that going on, it's going to be somebody else's save. It's not going to be an original save because every game's going to recognize the emulator correctly. And that's the shame of, games. Not every game is 100% going to work on any emulator that they try to get to load everything. So that's another thing to think about when games are not aging as the way you want them to, because sadly, this could only hold so much memory.
I think you guys are right about the loading times. I popped in Grand Theft Auto Vice City like 2 months ago, and the loading times were killing me. Like, I love that game so much back in the day. I never realized everything you do in that game causes a loading scene,
Yeah.
and I just had to stop playing it. I couldn't do it on Vice City anymore. Like, I never noticed that loading time back in the day. So I'd say
It
that
was
is,
just
you guys
natural.
are correct about it
That was just
aging,
natural,
not aging well.
That was just natural.
That's because
back then.
yeah, and also we were conditioned to,
Yep.
like all the stamina was like we gotta be 5 hours, and we could sit through a 5 hour movie, and we could watch a long animated sequence that was like 20 minutes long, and we're getting deprogrammed from that to watch 5 minute videos, 5 minute this, 10 minutes the max, So
Yeah. I guess
now
we're
we don't.
changing, too.
Yeah, we don't wait as much as we do playing the game, but we wait forever for it to load, and then once we're conditioned to wait for it to load. Once it loads and everything's set, the save should work exactly that we want it to work, and download should work exactly how we want it to work, and we just immediately pop in the game, and we have like a animated sequence to our load time. So technically, we're having a load time, but we don't realize we have a load time. They tricked us.
Yeah, you're right
That
about
person's
that.
walking randomly, and you're like, why are they just walking randomly? Oh, that's probably our load time that
Yeah.
we normally saw loading, and we saw a little like scrolling bar. The scrolling bar is hidden behind a picture of somebody walking or them talking or some random like little animation that you didn't know was there, and you're like, oh, why are we petting a dog? Oh, load time.
Yep.
Well, that's
about
also
that.
because you like nowadays you're downloading like who knows how much gig to your actual console, so that lessens up on the load time because there's no need to read it off the disk because it's already on your hard drive. So that load time is just not there anymore. It's just automatic because it's on your hard drive.
Freaking Zelda's Adventure for the CDI. That thing loads every time you go to the next screen. That is ridiculous.
That's why a lot of the kids won't play, and that's why it's aging so badly, because kids won't have the patience. They'll do maybe a couple sequences, a couple missions, and go, I have to wait again. And then they're already like, they checked out and they're done, and they're like, I'm gonna play GTA 5, and then they just pop in GTA 5 for like the 10th millionth time, or Fortnite or Roblox
Yeah,
or whatever. They can just go talk to somebody.
I noticed something about the newer generation. Once they get stuck on the game, that is their game. They don't want to play anything else.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Like,
Minecraft.
yeah, that's one of the games, for example. Another one is like Fortnite, Linda already mentioned. Another one is like Rocket League, yep. Rainbow Six Siege, like.
Well, also you gotta remember it's an addictive manner for that.
Besides
No.
that, they're hanging out with their friends online, so like that's the way they chill
Yeah.
out. They can't like in today's world right now. They can't go to each other's houses anymore. So what do?
They're meeting up in the online world in
Right.
these games like Minecraft or Roblox.
Yep.
Well, they've been conditioning us like that for years now. We don't. It's not like it was back when it was in the '90s and the late '80s, where you saw 5 bikes outside of Linda's house and you knew that all of us were at
in there
Linda's.
on the couch playing games.
Yeah, it's not the way it is. It's been conditioned since like basically they started right after PS2. More and more was online, and more and more and more and more, and you didn't have to go to your buddy's house to play. You could just go online and play with them.
That's one thing I really do miss. I miss couch co-op. Like I miss the guy
Yeah, right.
just
Yep.
bullshitting next to you, telling you that they're gonna whip your ass in like Street Fighter or something like that, talking a whole bunch of smack, and then like you like do one move and like they're dead. But like,
Multiplayer 007 GoldenEye.
right, like all those couch co-op games like from back in the day, they don't do that nowadays, and it's kind of sad in a way. But then again that's just our generation, So
Like I said, we were all blessed and grew up through gaming history. The kids don't know
very
gaming history.
fortunate to be born the year I was born and be able to go through the times of consoles, and I'm glad I was born in this era.
Do you guys think that the modern like phones, iPhones, and touchscreens that has impacted today's game players?
Oh yeah,
Hands down.
Sure.
Yep.
games are too readily available, and that you have them on your phone. I mean, games are a part of existence now. I mean, that's just
There's
the way.
so
it is.
much free to play. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, one
You-
thing
you
I don't
can-
like about the new games I noticed is there's no pause on these Roblox games. So these kids don't even want to leave the game. Just
Yeah.
I'm like, pause the game. There's no pause.
alright,
I
so
gotta keep playing.
it's not only on those type of games, it's also on like Rainbow Six Siege, for example. They can't pause while they're playing online.
Wow.
So it's like if they leave, they get banned. They get a time ban, believe it or not.
Oh,
My
wow.
my son actually told me, he's like, Dad, if I leave now, they're gonna ban me. They're gonna time ban me, and then I can't play for like I think it's like 1 or 2
That's
rounds.
because they're tired of people. Because I've had this happen to me too, where you're in the middle of a match and somebody leaves because they're rage quitting. What they're doing is they're trying to stop the rage quitting, but in reality, it's like, I gotta leave. I gotta go do something. And in their mind, it's like, oh, somebody just didn't want to get a loss on their, required, to get a certain level, you can't get so many losses, or you can't, do this, or you have
Right.
to get a win. And you don't want to have your records say, 60, 67, and then the next one is like, your wins are like 45. No, they keep rage quitting to get to where they want to be, and then they don't get that loss. So they programmed it now to where you have to finish the match, start to finish, no matter what it is, whether it's a win or a loss. If it takes 45 minutes, you have to finish that match, or you're going to get a ban. And the
Right,
ban
so-
could be ranging from like 10 hours to a couple weeks on
Yeah,
some
he
companies,
didn't-
which is ridiculous.
Yeah, he didn't specify to me how long, but he was just like, if I stop now or whatever, I'll get banned, and that's like the thing. Like when we call him down, like, come on, we got to do something. He's like, hold on, I'm almost done. I'm like, nah, it's you come down now. I don't
Yeah.
care where you're at in that game. That game, I don't care if you get banned. I don't care what happens. You come now. Like, the game will always be there. You might get banned. You might be gone for like a couple days or down for a couple days. Who cares? You can go back later. Like, it's always gonna be there. It's never gonna stop unless the server stop. But so that's kind of the way I leave it with him. I'm like, it doesn't matter what that game says. If we call you, you are to be down here. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yep.
It's funny you mentioned the ban thing, because you know that arcade one-up cabinet for NBA Jam, it has online capability, and they've had a lot of people rage quit in the middle of a game where they're losing by a lot, so they just quit. So they've actually instituted like a 3-strike rule. So like the first time you do that, you get a warning, and then you get a short ban, and then you get longer bans over time.
But
If
they
you
allow
keep
you to
doing
come
it.
back though, right?
Well, after a certain point, you can't, because
I
if you
think
get-
it's so many they're gonna just like ban your account from playing online.
Yeah, but it's funny. Like that's NBA Jam is a basketball game. I would have never thought back in the game that back in the
Yeah,
day
right.
that would even be a thing. You know?
But we're in a society now of you want to be the best, you don't want your record to show it. There's so many Twitch streamers who do that all the time, where they say I'm the best. They're talking smack to random players online, and you see their stats. I kid you not. There's so many YouTube videos right now of Fortniters. People are playing like Call of Duty, and they show the person's stats online while they're killing them. You're programmed as a kid to go, oh no, I might be on somebody's YouTube video and I might be getting a loss. I'm gonna rage quit so that they can't use my stats, and I need to keep getting wins. I need to keep getting wins, and it's just that society's of, you gotta get better. You gotta be the best. You gotta have no losses. You gotta make sure that if you're on a YouTube video, you're not gonna have that problem. And it's getting ridiculous now. Seen so many YouTube feed pop up of so and so kills. Here's their stats, and it's like, really? Getting to that point where we run out of content where we're gonna show other people's stats. Okay, well, my cup of tea. I'm not gonna watch that video. I don't care what their stats are.
I don't care
They
about.
play the game good.
I think stats are stupid. It's the experience that you get and enjoyment and all the fun from playing a game, whether it be old, new, different, Barbie supermodel. I mean, it don't matter what the game is you throw in. If you get enjoyment out of it, that's all that truly matters. People are spoiled and they're a little snooty with games nowadays, but honestly, compared to what I look at, what I have in retro, and then you look at what's made for newer, it seems like you had more choices on a more frequent basis with retro than you did with the current games that are out. Yes, you have some small
Well,
companies that are making some games, but there was more games coming out every month years ago than there are now. There has to be.
yeah, and also most of the games were meant for you to play as a single player and add on to where you could have a friend or a buddy come over and help you.
Yep.
Now it's like every single game has to be played. Pretty much like 80% of them have to be played with a person that's gonna be online with you. There's a trophy or a mission where you have to have somebody help you in order to get like 100% of everything. And I've gotten to the point where I'm just so tired of buying games where play it and the minute nobody wants to play with you anymore, you can't play it anymore. Like I've started to look for games where can I play as a single player? Okay. Having fun? Cool. I'll buy it and I'll keep playing it. And if nobody wants to play with me after the oh, it's such a fun game fizzles out to
It always does.
on board now. It always happens. Like
Every
I've gotten
game.
so many so many games where I'm having fun, I like this game, and then several people in the group that I'm playing with of that game don't want to play it anymore, and then I'm like, oh, that's another shovelware game that I can't play because I can't play it by myself. I mean, yeah, you can play the mission mode, but the mission mode you get so many challenges and you're done, and it becomes boring. So it's like I'll play like Phasmophobia because you can investigate the house by yourself for whatever demon or spirits there, and it's still fun and enjoyable and scary. Either way, if you play with one person up to 4 people, it's fun. So it's like most of the games now are that way, where you have to have somebody help you play the game. And I'm just missing where I get a story-based single-player mode where those games are few and far between now. I'm just like, give me anything. And that's why I think a lot of people are happy for the ports because other games that are repurposed and look a little bit better, upgrade the graphics or like, hey, I'll take it. But those games are gonna age poorly also. All these games, those modern games, that question you ask, are modern games gonna age poorly? The ones that are online. Get EverQuest. EverQuest for the PS2. Can I play it online anymore? No.
No.
I have it, yes, because I wanted to just buy it just for the having it because it was on my bucket list of I saw everybody else playing it, I couldn't play it. I can't play it. Servers are gone. Just a little piece of plastic with a disc inside. That's all it is now. But those are gonna age poorly in 5-10 years when those servers are no longer got a dedicated server to it. So that's one thing I think about.
Yeah, there's some Final Fantasy online games for PS2 you can't even play anymore. There's some Daxter and Jax online PS2 games you can't even play anymore.
Oh, dude, PS4 and Xbox are going to end up being like that. They're going to have lots of problems once they start putting down the servers. So it's not even going to really matter down the line whether or not it aged well.
You're just not going to be able to play it.
Yeah, that's horrible.
There's a big difference. It's like games aging, and then you just can't play it, period. And what you guys are talking about right now, you just can't play it. It's an online game.
That's because I consider it aging poorly because,
Well,
as
you
a
can't play
developer or a game, oh, that's what I'm saying though. Like aging poorly is a graphic where you can't play the game at all too. In my opinion, like any game that I can't play in 5 to 10 years, aged poorly. They didn't think about, the gamer on the line wanting to play this game and experience a game for the first time. Because that's what I think about older retro games. A lot of them you can play, as long as the gamer is down to play it, 5-10 years they can play it, whether it be on emulator or on the original hardware.
Companies
still playable.
Companies should really think about not relying on the internet so much and bring it back first, like couch co-op pretty much is what it comes down to. Like bring back the games where you don't need the internet to rely on.
That'll never happen, unfortunately.
It won't.
No.
Not anymore, no. Not in the age where everything's download and they're trying to get rid of everything physical media.
That's a
in
whole
the future,
other topic.
In the future, it's all gonna be download, no more physical, and everything's gonna be online.
And you know what that means for physical, right? Prices are gonna go sky high.
Now, do you guys think that physical will be looked at differently as far as aging bad when there is no more physical?
No, because then everybody's going to want it. And then the prices of those games are going to go up into the sky.
Well, I think if games are totally digital, and then whereas physical media will always have technical issues like updates and firmware updates and load times or whatever, that's going to make them look bad, you know. So I think the digital version, because it's always going to be updated, it's going to be the latest version. There's no reason to have load time, you know. So I think that'll look better to the next generation. They'll think that's. I can't believe you played physical media, you know.
Yeah, they probably already look at it.
If you're looking at our age group, that's totally different opinion.
Yeah.
Well, eventually we will get to a time when literally every retro game will age badly because after a certain amount of years, not all the Atari games are going to be working anymore.
Yeah, and they're blob top too for a lot of them. You won't be able to do shit to them. They're shot. When they don't work anymore, they're done because you can't repair a blob top.
That's why it's very, very important to try to preserve it as much as you can.
Save that ROM.
Yeah, well, they're already all ripped anyway.
Yeah,
They're all readily available online. All of them.
Dan has them all.
Yeah, he has them in his ultimate cabinet.
I mean, I've heard that the CDs are eventually going to go bad too. There's something like CD rot.
Yes, sir.
There's
Yeah, that's
warping,
been around.
and depending on how you store your game,
That's why
everything's going to be bent or moved away.
out of the light.
Yeah.
In a dry space.
CDI is a big one that's going to have issues with CD rot first. Sega CD. I heard Dreamcast, but I don't have any problems as far as that goes. 3DO is another one that could possibly start having more signs of rot. Basically, the label just starts deteriorating.
Peeling, and then warps and starts eating at the disc because of all the chemicals that is burning from all that stuff.
And then those are shot. So that's like when we were talking before, you know, about having a new release of a game so you don't ruin the original one. I get that for uncommon stuff because it's expensive and it would be nice to have basically, this is my go-to one, this is my shelf showpiece for my collection if you're that kind of a collector. But that shouldn't apply to $3-4 cartridges that are still readily available, you know?
Yeah. All right. Any other questions, comments?
I was just going to mention one thing that talking about games aging well, I will say, in my opinion, I think Nintendo has really mastered that because like Super Mario Brothers is still as popular today as it was, 20, 30 years ago. They've tweaked it, they've improved graphics and stuff, but still,
Yeah,
I mean,
you're
people
talking about like a massive franchise, like
yeah. I mean, still people.
Everybody loves Mario.
Yeah, so I mean, they've managed to keep their franchise, their game fresh over so many years, So, and Zelda too. So I mean, they're pretty good. They're like masters of making sure that games are age well.
It's just their first party titles, really. That.
Yeah.
Well, the NES
they put so many secrets in those games too.
What's that, Dizzy?
I said they put so many secrets in those games, like Super Mario World, that there's so much replay value in those.
Like Easter eggs.
Yeah, Easter eggs. New things to find, Star World. So you're gonna always want to keep playing those games year after year and finding new things.
You're right. The Mario games don't seem to age. Like everybody continuously plays them. Well, not only that, Dan, but like Mario seems to reappear every console. So like they brought him from NES into the next one, and then not only like when the Wii came out, they did the anniversary edition to where you can actually play the original Super Mario. So like they brought it back, and that was a good thing on their part. Like they got the generations that never played that to play it.
Yep.
Yeah, they just did that 35th anniversary with Mario 2. Brought it back.
Right.
Nintendo in general, I think, will hold up to the sands of time the best out of every other console that's been produced, just because of the amount of years they've been around
Yeah.
and the fact that their games truly do have a lot of replay value and they're fun to go back to, starting from the NES up. Even the Wii U, that was classified as a flop console, has a cult following to it that loves the Wii U.
And I really think that more people are starting to like the Wii U more now
They
than
are.
what they did back then.
I think they are too.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Anything?
Nope.
All good?
I think so.
All right, on to the last segment, Game of the Month. Bones, what's your Game of the Month?
I'm going to go with Felix the Cat because I was playing it today and it's actually a pretty good little platformer.
What console is that? Sega?
NES.
NES.
Oh, okay.
Dan, Game of the Month.
Well, just an update. I didn't buy Booger Man at the end of this podcast.
Shocker! Darn, I was really hoping you would.
The SNES version is really expensive, But
Get the Sega version.
yeah, maybe. But my game of the month is it's just the most recent game I added to my collection is Bravely Default 2 for the Nintendo Switch. So RPG from Square Enix.
Nice.
Yep. Game of the month.
Dizzy, Game of the Month.
My game of the month is going to be the Warriors PlayStation 2 game based off the movie that I just had Chris make a 3D pop-out PlayStation 2 dust sleeve for my good friend Quesadilla Padilla. I think you guys have seen those pictures. The thing looks so awesome. By the time this podcast comes out, he will have received the gift, but it looks so good. I think I'm going to purchase one of my own.
Linda, actually, you're the only one that probably has not seen that, and I will show it to you.
I haven't gotten a 3D pop yet.
Yeah, that thing looks so good.
Dizzy,
I had Chris make one for Quesadilla Padilla, Linda, of the Warriors, and we 3D popped it. Man, that thing looks so amazing.
I've seen a lot of 3D pop stuff, and it just like makes it 10 times better to look at.
Yeah, so man, it looks so good.
I was just gonna say, Dizzy, if you get the Warriors 3D pop-out sleeve, you'll be the first person to get the same 3D sleeve. We were talking about who's gonna be the first one to buy another one of Chris's 3D sleeves that he's already made. So he may be first.
Right now, nobody's bought the same one.
Oh, you have no doubles. Oh,
No.
okay, I got you.
All the ones that I've done, they've all been only one.
One and done.
One and done, yep.
I'm surprised that Warriors. Once people see that,
Well, nobody's
picture of
seen
that
it.
Warriors,
You've
people
seen
are
it,
gonna want
Dan's seen it, and Bone's seen it. That was it.
Man, so good looking.
Yeah, it is. I liked it.
Yeah, I'm gonna need one of those in my collection. He also did a Scarface and Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and man, those look great. Quesadilla is not gonna know. He's not even expecting any of that. So when he sees those, man, I can't wait to see his video.
Yeah, so keep a lookout for that video.
Yeah.
Let's hope this doesn't drop before he.
Nah.
Oh no.
Are you sending
Well,
the
even
package
if it
soon?
doesn't, it's all good.
Nah, he'll get that package within the week. So
Oh yeah, this won't
right.
come out until like end of March, I think. So plenty of time. Actually, this might not even be end of March. It might be.
I think even later.
Yeah, it will be later. It'd be beginning of April. So, Linda, your game of the month.
I mentioned it before, but Phasmophobia. That is a fun game. I've been playing with a couple people. Camp Survivor being one of them. Enjoying it.
And since
The crap scared of you. Yes.
And since we talked about this in a previous podcast, my game of the month is actually going to be Grand Theft Auto 3. I had fond memories of playing that.
Nice.
Um.
Can't go wrong with that.
Oh no. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me on this topic podcast. It was fun. And
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Always a great time on this podcast.
please like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, don't blow, just leave.
Okay, one
Amen.
other thing. Dan, I bought
Yep.
Booger.
Oh, did you buy a booger?
Oh.
And on
Have a
that,
good day, everybody.
on that note, go and buy Booger Man.
Yeah.
Bye,
Full
internet.
circle.
See you later.
Peace.